Hi Govind, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Abhishek, for having me here.
Yeah, thank you. So I was going through your website and all, and so I'm little bit more curious to know about your organization. And so I would like to know what inspired you to start Wonder On, and what gap in the travel industry were you aiming to fill?
Okay. So I think WanderOn was incepted back in 2017. That was the time. It's been more than now 8 years. Let's say running 8 years that we have started the organization. We all are graduates from NIT Kurukshetra, and after graduation, we all were, let's say, the entire co-founding team of WanderOn. We all are graduates from NIT Kurukshetra, and then after completing our graduation, we all were working into different segments. I think one thing was common between us. It was the travel for passion, and travel, and let's say passion to travel. And one more passion that was common between all of us was, let's say, passion to serve. Because I think, let's say, back in the college days, we all were working into different festivals. We all were working into different societies. So we used to organize a lot of festivals together, right? So let's say the common purpose to serve people was something that I found really common between us. Now when I look back, and the common passion to travel was something that was very common between all of us, like the co-founding team. So that was one of the inspiration, because like if you want to start something, like especially the entrepreneurship journey, if you want to do that, you have to be really passionate about what you're doing, right? So travel was something of a common passion for all of us. In terms of, let's say, the gap, so back in 2016, 17, most of the travel companies that existed, they all were catering to, let's say let's say the boomers generation, or let's say the late millennial generation, which is, let's say people about 45, 50, 50, 55, 60 and beyond. Companies like Cox and Kings, Thomas and Cook, all of these companies used to exist then, but no one was actually catering to the young millennials and Gen Z, right? And this particular, let's say, generation, they wanted to travel in like a new way. They wanted something newness out of travel. They don't want to do the regular touristic stuff. They wanted to do stuff which were more exciting for them, more socially active for them, more, let's say, so let's say they wanted to socialize too, and they wanted to travel too, right? So the concept of community travel, or the concept of social traveling, was something that was never heard of in India back in 2016 and 17. And the new generation, let's say the younger generation, they wanted to have very intimate social interaction with people. And when you are traveling, you tend to have that when you're traveling to different destinations around the world, right? So that is when, that is, let's say, the gap that we understood in the market, that a no one was targeting to, let's say, the young generations of India, which is the millennials and the Gen Zs, which eventually became the future of, let's say, the next generation. So we wanted to tap into that. So that was our TAM, or let's say the target market, and we wanted to build exciting, unique products only to that particular generation, right? So that is how we started WanderOn, mixed with let's say, the passion to travel and the gap that we saw, both combined in 2017, and WanderOn was born then.
Yes. So there are so many travel companies in this industry. So how Wonder One is different from other travel companies?
So see, I think number one is, let's say, see, there are multiple things that differentiates us from, let's say, so many companies let's say, that exist. A is, let's say, the amount of customer love and the customer trust that goes into, let's say, that goes with us when we are taking them on different destinations. Uh, let's say, out of the total number of people who have traveled with us, we have more than 16,000 people who have given us more than 5 stars. So we have an extremely high customer love, that comes with a lot of trust. So we have actually nailed the operation side of travel. Travel is a very operation heavy business, and we have somehow understood the nuances of the operation, and how actually the operation even if we are doing that at a big scale, how effectively you can manage it. And once you're managing the overall operations of the travel, you are basically providing the services that you actually promise to the customers, right?
Correct.
So bridging that gap between what is shown on those itineraries and what is really happening on the ground, if you are bridging that gap through technology, a and through right amount of information flow within the ecosystem, you will have very less chances of people suffering on the ground, right? So we have actually bridged that gap between, let's say, what is given to the customer and what is actually delivered to the customer through intensive amount of processes, SOPs, and technology. And I think that is like something that we have, let's say, achieved, let's say, despite the volumes that we have done, and we have maintained a, let's say, let's say a great NPS of more than 90% across all of our trips. So we have an extremely high customer love for the brand, and I think that is what differentiates us, because we are a very operation centric company, and we love to do the ops, and we love to do the ops in a way that has never been done before in the travel segment. And that is how we have a great repeat and referral rate also in the organization. We have more than 52% people traveling back with us, either through referrals or through repeat business. So half of the business is coming through referrals and repeat, which shows extreme amount of customer love for the brand. So I think that is how I mean, like, there are multiple things that we have done right, to be very honest, in terms of marketing the brand right, in terms of creating state of the art content also to, let's say, drive the Gen Zs and the millennial generation, in terms of, let's say, marketing that content to different media channels, right? So all of these things are there, but they have worked in silos. But the major thing is what makes us different is, let's say, the state of the art technology that we have used in our ecosystem to develop the processes that makes, let's say, the expectation and reality very very close to each other, right? So that is how we kind of differentiate ourselves from others.
Yeah, you truly mentioned that it's very important to satisfy our customers, because if they are satisfied, they will give some more referrals. They will
Yeah.
tell their friend circles like these are the good company. So it's very important because they are new to that destination, that place. So it's very important to take care of all these things, what we are committing and against what we are delivering.
Yes.
Nice, Govind. So, WanderOn believes community travel is the future. How does their approach enhance the travel experience?
Okay. So we are a big believer of community travel, because see, like, if you look at the current setup of businesses, any business that is building a community around its brand, they will be successful in the future. Like, community driven businesses will be extremely successful moving ahead. Like, let's say you can see, let's say take the example of Nike. They have built a community of sports athlete, right? And that community is actually taking them forward, right? Let's say, so community led businesses, where people are, let's say, where people feel that they are belong somewhere, right? In like a community setup is something uh, that will go forever, because then there will be, let's say, you don't have to market your brand again and again. Your community people will do that, right? So it is extremely important to build a communities to have a certain sense of belonging, and then that certain sense of cult within your travel group. So, let's say, so that the extent of word of mouth and the extent of people talking about your brand increases a lot, so hence the visibility and the discoverability of the brand increases a lot. So I am a big believer of the fact that community-led businesses will be the future. A, and how does this approach enhance the travel experiences? Because see, people in this current setup, they genuinely want real connections, right? In let's say the technologically savvy world that we live in, most of the connection that we are making, either through Instagram, either through LinkedIn, or of through any of the social media platforms, or of all through these dating apps, these connections are really shallow, right? So people crave for offline experiences. People really want these real connections to happen, like these offline human to human social connections to happen. And when you are traveling in a community setup, you are basically traveling in a social traveling setup where you are, let's say, meeting like-minded people from different parts of the world, right? So let's say if we are planning a trip to any of the destinations around the world, we have a unique set of 30 to 40 people, and these people are absolutely unknown to each other. The beauty about it is they are very like-minded because like they belong from, let's say, a certain genre of the crowd. Maybe some is engineer, some is doctor, some is like a medical person, some is an entrepreneur, someone is a model, someone works in the film industry. So they all, let's say, they are coming from different walks of life, and they come together under one community setup, and then they travel together under a guided plan, right?
Right.
So when they are doing that, let's say the experience that comes by talking to people from different parts of life, and the learnings and the stories and the connection that you make there, is something that excites a lot of people, right? And
Right.
that is the beauty about it. Like when you're traveling, you are in your rawest form, right? So the kind of connection that you make when you're traveling is something that it takes along with you forever, right? I'll
Right.
give you a small data point also. I don't know how relevant it can be, but I just want to make you understand the extent of how these community interaction works. So we have, I don't know the exact number, it may be more, uh, but I have, let's say, the data here. We have more than 102 people who have actually met on wander on trips. Let's say they have, let's say you come solo, I come solo, let's say you come solo, and let's say someone else who have come solo. They have met on wander on trips and they've got married. Right. So that is, let's say, the beauty about these social experiences where people from different walks of life, they are coming together and they are finding their life partners also. Imagine, let's say, finding someone that you are eventually getting married to. Right. So that is the beauty of these social traveling experiences that WanderOn is providing, and I am really, really, let's say, proud of these experiences, and I am super excited to build a more holistic and a global community of travelers in future.
Nice. Nice. So far you have organized over 11,000 trips for more than 50,000 travelers. What has been the key to this success?
I think discipline. I'll be very honest to you. It's not a see travel is it's a non-sexy business, right? And when I say
Right.
non-sexy, it means that it's a very operationally intense business. You have to do the same thing again and again and again and again and again till the time it's being perfected. So I think we are a very ops heavy mindset kind of a business. Of course, we are technologically savvy also, but we like everyone in Wanderon, we work with an operator mindset, right? Like execution is the key. Execution is the key, right? So we work like with like once you're working with that operator mindset, you tend to scale things up and you have to do the basics right, right? It's not a very glamorous business to be in, right? You
Right.
like since you are giving services to people, and people expect all sort of services to happen there, right? Right. So to actually meet the expectation with reality is something that is very challenging. So you have to be in the operator mindset every time to make it happen. And not just me, but the entire team of Wanderon, we always are in the operator mindset to make sure that the customer gets it what they expect out of it, right? So I think the key to the business is A, discipline, absolute discipline at the core of it, and B, the operator mindset that everyone at Wanderon works in.
Nice. Thank you. So with more than 11,000 reviews, I want to know the most memorable experience a Wonderwan traveler has shared with you.
So I have already told you. I think I'll just quickly take you through the details of it.
Yeah.
So on one of our trips that I personally led, because I still lead trips at Wanderon because I'm not that founder who just sits back in the office and just like make people do the work. I want to be on the ground. I want to be there with the consumer to understand what we are doing right, what we are doing wrong, what we have to do better, right? So this story goes back to 2018. Let's say there was this one flagship trip that we do at Wanderon, which is Himachal backpacking, wherein we cover all the major destinations of Himachal, starting from McLeodganj to Bir to Kasol to Tirthan to Manali. Right, it's like a 10-day trip. And
Okay.
on one of my trips, this was, let's say, the initial days of WanderOn back in 2018. I'm talking about. This was
Mm-hmm.
December 2018. There was this one guy Bhavesh who came from Calcutta, solo traveler, and one girl from Bombay who came. She was Shivangi. So they both met on WanderOn trip, on the Himachal backpacking trip, and they kind of, let's say, liked each other's company. They were traveling together. They both were traveling separately, like at the start of it. But let's say by the end of the trip, they both became friends and they were like hanging out together. And they again came on WanderOn trip back in the month of April. They went to Spiti again, and they again came back in September and they did a trip to Ladakh with WanderOn. So within a span of, like, I think 1 year, they did 3 trips with WanderOn, right? And then one fine day, Shivangi and Bhavesh, they took me on, let's say, a conference call, and they wanted to, and they said that, hey Gigi, they call me Gigi, Govind Gaur, like, we wanted to share something very interesting with you. I was like, okay, share. They're like, I just want to thank you for making me meet. Let's say Shivangi was telling this to me, that I just want to thank you to for making me meet Bhavesh. We are eventually getting married, right?
Nice.
So I think that was, let's say, one of the most surreal experiences for me personally, because see, as an entrepreneur, you don't get a lot of validation from the universe anyways, right?
Right.
Universe validates you in ways that you have to just identify that, okay, if you're doing something, if, let's say, what is right and what is wrong, only universe validates it's back to you, right? So I
Right.
think Shivangi told me that I just want to thank you for making me meet Bhavesh through Wander. We have traveled together for almost like an year now, and we are getting married. I think that was one of the most memorable experiences that has stayed with me forever, because they have traveled with me, and this was, let's say the initial days of Wander On. So it kind of
Yeah.
satisfied me that, hey, let's say if I'm building a platform where people are meeting and they are getting married, so I think I might be doing something right, right? So this was, I think, the most memorable experience for me.
Nice. Thank you for sharing your experience, and this was really inspiring for solo travelers who wants to travel. So
Yeah.
right now, like you have almost completed 7 years, you mentioned. So what are the biggest challenges in maintaining a strong and engaged travel community you have faced?
I think the biggest challenge initially, let's say, was to navigate COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was, I think, one of the biggest challenge that I have personally faced at WanderOn, right? Um, it was very difficult. I don't want to mention it again because everyone know how difficult it was. We are now 5 years ahead of it, but it was really, really the most challenging part of my entire lifetime. To be honest, everything was under question mark in terms of the career, in terms of what you do. Everything was like at a standstill point. But somehow we navigated. We pivoted our business model by a couple of by, let's say, by doing a couple of smart things, and then we launched workations also, which is work from anywhere, which eventually everyone started doing. So we were the first one to launch it in India. We got all the domains of workations.in, workations.com, and we got like a lot of media attentions also. I have my articles in Hindu, Times of India. A lot of these publication articles, they were coming in. They got my interviews done back in 2020. So I think workations was one of, let's say, the biggest innovation that comes out of COVID, and that was, let's say, the most difficult time that I have personally faced while I am building this company. And I think the second most difficult part that I am currently, it's not difficult. It's basically that since we have surpassed the expectation of travel experiences so much, that now people are expecting, like, they're expecting way more, right? So I think it's like a challenge that I have personally given to everyone, that, because see, let's say if you have paid X amount of money, and if you have, let's say if you get an experience that completely justifies your money, and or let's say maybe beyond that, right? So
Right.
people just love it, and then people start to expect more out of it, right?
Right.
So I think to stand on the expectations of people is something that, and that too of like more than 50,000 people, is something that excites me, a that challenges me also at the same time, right? Because now people are expecting more and more out of WanderOn. Now people are expecting that, hey, you have to launch multiple destinations even in the remotest part of the world. People now are now inquiring that, hey, when are you launching Antarctica? We want to go Antarctica with you. When are you launching Mongolia? We want to go Mongolia, Russia. So now people are expecting a way more experiences, a and all of them have to be done in the wanderons way of, let's say, how we have standardized the overall travel experience. People understand that, and let's say people experience that. So I think that is one very exciting for me, and then be super challenging also, because it's very difficult to maintain such kind of nps when you are growing at such a scale, right? So I think
Right.
that is, I think, two most biggest challenges that I have personally faced. One is COVID, and second is living up to people's expectation.
Nice. So I would like to know more about workations and what are the top destinations for workations, and how WanderOn create an ideal work-friendly environment at these locations.
So I think this was, let's say, back in 2020. We somehow figured out that why work from home when you can work from anywhere, because everyone was working from home back then, right? So we have
Right.
understood that people, because it was summertime, so people should be looking out for travel destinations which are a easily accessible for people. B, it has all the basic amenities, right, for people to survive. So of course, destinations like Manali, let's say all of the Himachal, all of the major locations in Himachal like Manali, McLeodganj, Bir, Tirthan, Kasol, all of these destinations were like our topmost priority. And then simultaneously we launched Uttarakhand also, so Rishikesh, Masuri, Kanatal, Chakrata, all of these places also, which has good accessibility from tier one cities, A, which has all the basic amenities for people to survive for longer duration, because let's say vacation is basically for longer duration, for like week, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. These are not 2 day, 3 day holiday that people can, let's say, just go and come back, right? And
Right.
then slowly we expanded down to multiple cities, or let's say multiple destinations in India. So so let's say at one time we were doing north, maybe we were doing Himachal, Kashmir, only Srinagar, and then Uttarakhand we were doing Rajasthan, we were doing Goa, we were doing Kerala, we were doing, and northeast we were doing Shillong. So all of these destinations we were doing collectively, and we kind of standardize the whole experience of, let's say, providing people with a work friendly atmosphere, b, let's say, proper internet facilities with power backup throughout all 24/7, and then c, homely cooked meals, because when let's say people are staying for longer duration, they can't go out and eat every day in the local restaurants and dhabas. They wanted to have that homely experience so that their health remains intact and it's cost effective also. So we
Right.
have standardized all of the services, starting from a living space for people to, let's say, work. Let's say a working space for people to actually work. B, good Wi-Fi facilities along with power backups so that, let's say, their work can't be hampered. And then third, homely cooked meals. So we have standardized all of our hotels and, let's say partner hotels to have very nice chef menus which are very homely set up, right? So you have one dal, you have one, let's say, like, like a thali kind of a setup, which is cost effective also, and then homely. Let's say it gives homely vibe also, right? So that's
Okay.
how we have standardized our all of the services across different destinations in India, and that's how we launched Workation, and we were very successful in launching it and scaling it back then. If I talk about the current setup of what we are doing under Workation, so the individual Workation is something that we are not doing right now, right? What we are doing right now under Workations is we have this specific uh, segment of Workation, which is what we call Workation for teams,
Okay.
wherein, let's say, if you have a smaller team of, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 people, and if you want to take your team along on a vacation to, let's say, a 1 week 10 day setup to any part of India and the world, so we are doing that also, right? So that is, let's say, the primary thing that we are focusing. And for companies which are remote, which are absolutely remote, let's say the entire Web3 space is remote, and then we have, let's say, like a lot of global companies which are SaaS based companies, they are also remote, right? So so let's say for them we are doing workation at a global level, at a much bigger and massive level. So there's
Okay.
this one company in US. They want and it's like a remote company. They have their employees at least in 25 different countries around the world, and they wanted to do a vacation. So we organize a
Okay.
vacation in Japan for 1 week, right? So people from different part of the world, they travel to Japan and they worked there for almost a week. They did all of these team building activities, and they were actively involved into knowing each other and doing these ice breaking sessions and lesser stuff around that. So the current extent of workation is the workation for teams that we do. The individual workation we are not catering that anymore because now people if, let's say even if they plan to do that, they do that let's say directly by connecting with the property, and then let's say they book the property on any of the portals because now that market is already saturated. Everyone understand that if we have better internet, anyone can come and work. But I think the vocation for team setup is something that we really do now at a massive scale also.
So you are catering, we can say, corporates as of now.
Yeah. Corporates, not just from India but from around the world, and not just in Indian location, but like at locations around the world also.
Nice, nice.
So there's this Web3 company. So there's this Web3 company. We have organized their vacations for 10 days in Bali, in Baku. Now we are doing that. Now we are doing at Hong Kong for them. So that's
Okay.
like the end of what we do.
Okay. So can you please let me know more about like how does WanderOn ensure a balance between adventure, comfort, and safety for the travelers?
Okay. So we have a specialized set of, let's say, 10 people. Let's say if we are planning to start a destination, we have a specialized set of 8 to 10 people that goes out for the Reiki. And when you say Reiki, let's say it means the inspection of that particular destination, right? So
Okay.
things like so we do all kind of check, starting from crisis management, let's say starting from medical facility, starting from let's say if we have the ability to heli lift people in case of let's say any emergency, can we do that, right? And then we
Okay.
have experienced curators on a particular trip that goes out and they do sort of experiences starting from the regular touristic experience to doing a little adventurous experience to doing a little offbeat experience, right? So we have a team of 8 to 10 people that goes out and that does a proper recce of let's say of a destination. These are seasoned people. Sometimes I also go along with them, right?
Okay.
So two people are doing all of the crisis management part. Let's say three people are doing the contracting part with the hotels and the local supplier. 2 to 3 people are experiencing the touristic stuff. One or two people are experiencing the adventure side of it, and one or two people are experiencing the let's say the offbeat side of travel, right? So they
Okay.
all come back with like let's say all of their insights, and then we sit together in like a closed space, and then we take input from all of these people, and then we create an experience which lies in the sweet spot of adventure and leisure because uh, not a lot of people want full adventure, not a lot of people want full leisure. People want to have like a perfect balance somewhere in between, like a sweet spot where they have let's say if they have a 10-day long trip, 2 to 3 days they can do adventure, 2 to 3 days they can do leisure, and the other 2 to 3 days they can do the offbeat experience or the regular touristic experience also, right? So, like it's an art, like product curation is an art, right? You have to strike a perfect balance between all of these three, let's say three things, to ensure that like the product that you have is perfectly matched with expectations for like a majority of people, right? And then we have
Mm.
contract with all of these people who do crisis management at these local destinations in case of any emergency, so the safety of everyone is intact. We
Yeah.
have training programs for the team captains who lead these trips with us. They undergo a training program of almost like 5 to 6 months regularly, where they have been taught on soft skills, they are being taught and trained on medical skills, they are being taught on let's say human connection and crisis management, and then they are on ground at least for 2 to 3 months in smaller trips under a senior, professional, whether and they are being treated and tested on ground to understand how are they responding and how are they managing things. So after a 6 month long training program, these captains are well matured and well trained to lead the community trips that we do at Wander On, and to ensure
Mhm.
the safety of everyone who is being involved there, right? So the kind of local partners that we work with, these they also get trainings in terms of providing a overall safety, right? Because safety is one of the primary criteria that we set at Wander On, right?
Okay.
And we have actually created a very safe space for women travelers also to travel. I'll give you one data point: 52% of people that travels with us are women solo travelers, and not just in India but around the world. So it takes a lot for a woman to trust a brand, right? Because women uh, thinks about 100 different things before they plan a trip, right? Of course, it's like a genuine psyche of anyone, and if they are doing that at this scale, we have created a safe space for everyone, like all the women around, to have a safe space for people. And then we have female team captains also, who are leading this group, right? So to just to set a better example for everyone that hey, it's not just the male team captains we have a good lot of female team captains also, and they are a part of the social ecosystem that we have created.
Nice, nice. So, what is the most valuable lesson you have learned as an entrepreneur in the travel industry?
I think the biggest thing that takes you ahead in your life is courage more than anything else. Your talent and your hard work, everything takes the back seat if you don't have courage. I think courage is the most important life skill of an entrepreneur, because uh, because the chances of you getting successful is extremely less,
Okay,
and you tend to see failures almost every day or almost every week, right?
correct.
So if you're not courageous enough to still go for it, then you might lose it. So courage
Correct.
and perseverance are the two biggest lessons that I have learned in the last 7 years. That you have to be really, like, even if you're not talented, even if you're not hardworking, you can still make it by being just courageous enough. Of course,
Correct.
hard work you have to do at the end of the day to make it, let's say, to increase the longevity of it. But courage and perseverance is something that you should have as an entrepreneur to be there. I think that's my biggest learning in the last 7 years.
Nice, nice. So, like, just last, I would like to know what is your long-term vision for Wonder On, and where do you see yourself in next 5 to 7 years?
That I don't see myself anywhere. I will see myself just grinding hard for Wander On, right? Um, I don't have that vision plan that I will be here, I'll be there, I'll be, if I'm associated with Wander On, hopefully I will be. Uh, I will be just grinding hard to serve people. That's what is my calling here. I genuinely want to serve, right? I think that's my calling, and I've created Wander. So you will see me serving people at Wander On, grinding hard after 5 years. Talking about the future of Wander On, I think 2030 is when we are planning to launch an IPO. Is internally how we are aspiring to do an IPO. If everything goes well, we want to we want to make Wander On a truly global brand out of India, like a true global travel brand out of India, right? And that is what our internal aspirations are, to genuinely make one travel brand out of India for the whole world, right?
Nice.
So I think that's WanderOn's aspiration, and that's my personal aspiration.
Nice, nice. So thank you for your time, Govind. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on travel and how you are doing and how people are meeting in your trip and even they are getting married after some couple of years. It's really nice to listen from your side. So thank you so much for your time, Govind.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. It was pleasure talking to you. And sorry for my tired face, man. I am really traveling on a grind for last couple of days because of Mahakumbh. So,
Yeah.
but like, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.